Hello guys, welcome back to another video. As always, I am so excited to have you guys here. If this is your first time, hello, welcome. My name's Claire. I'm a naturopathic doctor in Toronto, and my goal for this channel is to really help you guys feel more educated and empowered when it comes to your health. I love talking about how you can take a very holistic yet foundational approach to your health. We talk about lifestyle, nutrition, but also how you can navigate the healthcare system and better advocate for yourself. I love sharing these what I eat in weeks to show you guys how I consistently put together high fiber, high protein meals. I aim for about 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal and about 30 grams of fiber per day, and try to include lots of nutrient dense food. For a little bit of context, I live by myself, so most of the time I'm cooking for one, but my boyfriend does come to visit me on the weekends, so sometimes I'm cooking for two. I also know that food is more than just nourishing our body, it also nourishes our mind and soul, and as a foodie, I love to make sure that I'm eating food that I enjoy and not just hits my macros or my nutrition targets. And then lastly, I filmed this right at the start of September, so we're in this amazing transition period between late summer and early fall. I do really make an effort to eat seasonally, both in the food that I'm eating and how I'm preparing it. But with all that being said, let's just jump right into the video. So I've been on a huge English muffin kick, and I actually really like the ones from Ezekiel. They're super high in fiber. They actually have a bunch of different whole grains, so they're great for getting in more plant diversity. And I just top those off with some pressed cottage cheese that I mix with some avocado. I scrambled up one egg. You actually have a decent amount of protein from the cottage cheese, so I just added one egg. And then on top, I also added some broccoli microgreens. I love adding these. It's just such a quick, easy breakfast. It takes me about 5 minutes to put together. And then for lunch, I always want something super quick and easy. So on Mondays, I really like to do a clear out the fridge and just see what leftovers I have. Over the weekend, we made salmon and broccoli, so I warmed some of that up. I didn't have a full serving of salmon, so I also just warmed up some edamame that I had in my freezer. And then over the weekend, I also prepped some of this delicata squash, which is probably one of my favorite squashes. I actually filmed this right after my Sunday reset video, so if you guys want to go back to my most previous video, I show you how I make the delicata squash. So I added that all to a bowl. I also added some kimchi just for some extra probiotics, and I've been loving topping everything off with tahini lately. This is such a quick and simple lunch. You have lots of protein from the edamame and the salmon, lots of fiber from the edamame and the squash, and then a little bit of fiber from the broccoli and the kimchi as well. I also do really try and make an effort to eat fatty fish at least a few times a week, just to make sure I'm getting enough omega-3s. And then moving on to dinner, I made spring rolls. I have been eating these nonstop all summer, and the weather was actually really warm this week in Toronto. Like I said, this is early September, so we're getting days that are super sunny and warm, alternating with kind of chilly and rainy days. It's all over the place, but I'm just trying to enjoy the sunny days and eat this as long as I possibly can, because I know once the weather drops, I'll want more cooked foods, things like soups and stews. I've made these in so many other videos. You guys are probably tired of seeing me make these, but I will link a video where I make the tempeh that I use in these. I really love using tempeh because it's not only a great source of plant-based protein, which we love, it's also super high in fiber. A serving of tempeh has about 7 grams of fiber. So when you're thinking about getting to that 10 gram per meal or 30 grams per day, tempeh can be an amazing tool for that. I also had some peanut sauce. I'll link another video where I make my peanut sauce if you guys are looking for the recipe, but I love this meal. It takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to put together if I have the tempeh and the peanut sauce already prepped. It's such an easy way to get in lots of fiber and fresh vegetables. And then I did have some banana bread for dessert. I also made this in my Sunday reset video, so if you guys are looking for the recipe, you can check out that video. And I just topped it off with some peanut butter, and that was my Monday. So on Tuesdays, I have to leave to go into the clinic pretty early. So I just like to have a nice, quick, and easy breakfast. I just boiled some eggs. I always get asked how I make my eggs. So if they're extra large eggs, which these are, I boil them for about 8 minutes, then right into ice water. And it gives me this nice, jammy egg that I love. Like I said, I was heading in pretty early, so I wasn't super hungry, but I knew that I would need something in my stomach before seeing patients all morning. So I just had some eggs, some cottage cheese that I mashed with avocado, and then I like to add whatever fruit is in season. Lately, I have been obsessed with figs, and between the avocado and the figs, you have lots of fiber, and between the cottage cheese and the eggs, you have lots of protein. And then we actually ended up having a work lunch, so we went out for lunch, and I just got some sushi rolls and some salmon and some butterfish nigiri, and then they also brought a bunch of side dishes for us to share. Whenever I do eat out, of course, I just want to enjoy the meal and enjoy the company, but I do try and always emphasize getting some sort of protein and fiber. So here the protein really came from the fish in the sushi, and then there was some avocado in the sushi for fiber, but also the side dishes had tons of fiber as well. And then I have been starting to think about experimenting with different fall dishes, and this is one that I wanted to try. And I know we all think about winter squash in the fall, things like delicata squash and pumpkins, but early September and even mid-September is actually a perfect time for summer squash like zucchini. So I wanted to grab some of that, and I just started by sauteing that with some shallots. Again, I do really try and get some allium vegetables like shallots, onions, garlic into my diet. They just have so many health benefits. And then fall always makes me think of turkey. So I grabbed some ground turkey and I just seasoned that with some sage, rosemary, thyme, a little bit of Ceylon cinnamon, salt, and then I got my gloves on and gave that a good mix. Oh, I also added a little bit of maple syrup. I always just find that turkey pairs so well with some sort of sweet element in the dish. And once my vegetables were cooked, I just set those aside and sauteed up the turkey. This was great for meal prep. I made a pound of ground turkey and it lasted me about 3 meals. I love using turkey as well if you're looking for a leaner meat that's lower in saturated fat, higher in protein. So great. And like I said, this was great for leftovers as well. Once my turkey was all cooked through, I added the rest of the vegetables back in. And then I showed this right at the start, but I prepped some sweet potatoes over the weekend. Baked sweet potatoes is one of my favorite starches to have on hand. They're so easy to add to the base for any meal to add some complex carbohydrates and some fiber. Plus, when you cook and cool them, they become a resistant starch. So great for gut health, great for blood sugar control. I topped that off with the turkey and veggie mix. And then, like I said, I've just been adding tahini on everything. Such a great source of healthy fats. You've also got some calcium in it as well. And then I just had some more banana bread and peanut butter for dessert. Okay, and I think I have finally perfected making a nice soft scramble in my stainless steel pan. I think there's a few different things. One, you want to do the water test, make sure that it's hot enough, but you also want to make sure that it's not too hot. Otherwise, the eggs will get overcooked and then they'll get hard. And I just season these with a little bit of salt and parsley. Use those to top off my English muffin with some cottage cheese and avocado. Added some broccoli microgreens. So this is such a quick and easy breakfast. And And then I've showed this meal in my last few What I Eat in a Weeks, but this has been my go-to lunch lately. It's just some ground beef smashed tacos. These are so great for just a quick and easy lunch. You could also have these for breakfast, especially if you are looking for a gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free breakfast. These are a great option. So I just put some ground beef on some corn tortillas, cooked those on both sides, and then I added some avocado, broccoli microgreens. Like I said, I live by myself, so I try and use the same ingredients in different meals just so I can use it up. And then I headed out to clinic in the afternoon. So I always get home pretty late from clinic on Wednesdays, so I always want something quick and easy. So having the ground turkey already meal prepped really came in handy. I just warmed some of that up on a pan. I also warmed up some sweet potatoes. I just warmed that up in the pan as well. I didn't want to wait for the oven to reheat. That was just a very quick and easy dinner. Like I said, when I get home from clinic, I just want something really quick. I also don't want to think, so I love just having the same meal on repeat. I just find it cuts down on decision fatigue, and I do really find that that is something that I struggle with, especially when it comes to my health and my health routine. So the less decisions I have to make, especially after a long day at work, the better. Just top that off with some tahini, had some banana bread for dessert, and that was my Wednesday. So for lunch, I just warmed up some more of the ground turkey, and then I had some roasted parsnips and roasted carrots that I made over the weekend. Again, those were in my Sunday reset video, so I will link that, but I make these roasted parsnips and roasted carrots all the time in the winter. They are so good to have on hand. I love having them with ground beef as like a ground beef hash. I just had the turkey, so I added that. I also had some avocado as well, and I wanted to add just a little bit more fiber. You do have some fiber from the carrots and the parsnips and the delicata squash, but I wanted to add a little bit more. You have tons of protein from the turkey. I added some tahini, again, just for some extra healthy fats. You do have healthy fats in the avocado, but I wanted to add a little bit more. Plus, I just like to top everything with tahini. Okay, and then in the afternoon, I was craving something chocolatey. So I made these sweet potato brownies, and oh my goodness, these are so good. I will be making these so much in the winter. I love my banana bread, but these were really good. For the dry ingredients, I just blended some cacao powder, baking powder, salt, and some oats in a blender until it made a fine powder. And then I used the rest of the cooked sweet potato, about 1 cup mashed. I added some vanilla extract, maple syrup, olive oil, peanut butter, and 1 egg. You can mix it all up in the blender, and then I just chopped up half a bar of chocolate and stirred that in. Baked it in the oven for 22 minutes, and it was so good. If you like fudgy brownies, these are a great alternative, and they are dairy-free and gluten-free. And then for dinner, my boyfriend was over for the weekend, and lately we have been loving doing pesto pasta. So I just started by sauteing up some onions and white mushrooms, and then we love shiitake mushrooms, so I chopped up a bunch of those, added those as well, and just let them cook down until they were soft. And then once my mushrooms were all cooked, I just set those aside in a bowl, and then I made up some chicken thighs. I love chicken thighs over chicken breast. I just think that they are so much more delicious, but if you wanted a leaner option, you could definitely do chicken breast. You just get these from a local butcher. I always do bone out, skin on, and I always season them with some garlic powder, parsley, and salt. And then I stopped by Italy and just grabbed some fresh pasta. I love doing fresh pasta. I just find it digests better than dried pasta, and I really prefer the texture. So once my chicken was done cooking, I also drained my pasta and I added back in the onions, mushrooms, and then we also had some frozen peas just to add some more color and more veggies. We had some of the store-bought pesto already in the fridge, but I also have my dairy-free, nut-free pesto recipe. I will link a video that has that recipe if you guys are looking for that. So we had the pasta, the chicken. We also had it with some Parmesan cheese. We also had some goat cheese, but I forgot to film it. And I don't always show it when I go back for seconds, but I definitely went back for seconds for this meal. It was absolutely delicious. And then I just had a brownie for dessert. And then on Friday, I had to leave super early to go into the clinic and I wasn't super hungry. So I just ended up taking my breakfast to go. I had a tiny little bit of peanut butter left in this jar. So I decided to use that as the container slash base for my breakfast. I just mixed some collagen powder with a little bit of Greek yogurt that was left in the bottom of the tub. I added that to the peanut butter jar and then I added half a banana. I like to sandwich the banana in between the yogurt because it helps the banana to stop from oxidizing. I also had some frozen blueberries in my freezer. I'm actually really making an effort to work through all the stuff that is in my freezer. So I added that as well. I added a little bit more yogurt. I also added some hemp seeds and cow nibs. This is such a great breakfast. You have tons of protein between the collagen and the Greek yogurt, lots of antioxidants from the blueberries, and then you also have lots of fiber from the banana blueberries, lots of healthy fats from the peanut butter and the hemp seeds. You also have lots of antioxidants from the cacao nibs. I also brought some of this bran cereal separately so it wouldn't go soggy, and I just added that right before I ate it. It just adds a nice crunch. Plus it has like an insane amount of fiber in it as well. I always get home in the early afternoons on Friday and I want something quick and easy, so I just warmed up some of the leftover pasta. I had the rest of the chicken. I added some goat cheese just to make it a little bit more creamy, and that was just a very quick, easy lunch. And then in the early afternoon, I did get started on dinner. So I just ended up making a bunch of Japanese sweet potatoes. This is my favorite type of sweet potato. I actually really prefer it over the classic orange sweet potato. I just cut that into slices, seasoned it with some Ceylon cinnamon, avocado oil, and then I'll just bake it in the oven at 400 degrees. I just keep an eye on it and pull it out when it looks done. It usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes. I always make a big batch because I know that I love to have extra leftovers on hand. And then for dinner, we decided to do little burgers. So I made 4 of these dry aged beef burgers for my boyfriend. He does eat a lot of food. I will say that he is really into powerlifting, so he can just eat so much food. And then I made these little sweet potato sliders for me. So I just did 2 little smash burgers on the side. While those were cooking, I also cut up some avocado. This avocado looked a lot better than the ones from earlier in the week. Nothing beats opening up a fresh, good-looking avocado. And then I just made a salad on the side. When we went to Italy, I bought a bunch of Italian olive oil. So I used some of that along with some balsamic vinegar that I also got in Italy. And then I mixed it with some garlic powder, salt, parsley, and then I just used some spring mix. I love this salad. It's so versatile. It's so easy. It goes with any meal and such an easy way to just get more greens into your diet. And then, like I said, I used the sweet potato to make little sweet potato sliders, which are so good. Had some avocado and salad on the side. I also love this avocado mayo, so I added a little bit of that. And we just had more of the brownies for dessert. That does bring us to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got some meal meal ideas, inspiration, just ideas for how you can incorporate more high fiber, high protein, micronutrient dense foods in your diet. As always, let me know what you guys want to see more of, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.